Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily. I'm a French artist and YouTuber. In this week's video, I'm going to review some watercolor pencil and paper from Arteza. But before I jump into the review, I wanted to quickly say that I have available in my Etsy store right now a bunch of original sketches and colored sketches. Those are all the designs you can get, so if you'd like to check them out, I will link it in the corner. Let's get started with the review from Arteza. So those are the goodies that Arteza sent me. Thank you to Arteza. They're an amazing brand. They do work a lot with artists and they're really affordable and quite good quality product, I think, for the cost. So this video is going to review the pencils and also the paper, although I think it's the same paper that I've reviewed before in the watercolor premium pad. And if you'd like to check them out in the Arteza website, I will link everything below. I'm going to use those. I'm going to use one sheet in that, and I also have used the Arteza drawing pad. This is a premium pad. This is really nice paper. This is a 9 by 12 yeah, 9 by 12. Sorry, English is hard for me, but this is 130 GSM, so this is pretty thick drawing paper, and I really like it. I've been using that paper for since I received it. This is a lot of paper. So yeah, they just come like that, like a spiral bound. You can tear the pages. You can also there's like a little what is it called, like pre-cut thing. It's a pretty small size. I'm not sure yet how I'm going to use that. Pretty much I think it's the best for like little studies. I really like the size of that because you can get it on the go with like a watercolor palette or your pencils. So here are the pencils from Arteza. Those are the 72 watercolor pencil expert set, and yeah, I'm really excited to see how they perform. Artist quality, rich and vibrant color, we'll see about that. And in the back you have the Arteza logo and the range of colors basically, and what I like about those is that they have a name and a number assigned. I don't think the Arteza real brush pen, those ones that I've used in my Inktober artwork, they don't have a chart, so you don't have any numbers or name, which is kind of sad. But for those, you have them. So you have a pretty good selection of earthy tones or maybe just blue, like purples and pinks and greens, and pretty much everything you want. I don't think you need that much colors, but we'll see. Maybe I actually will use like a lot of those. We'll see how this goes. Arteza is a pretty well-known brand now, especially online. They sent product before and I really like them, so when they reached out to me again, I was like, heck yeah, I'm gonna do a Halloween video for you guys because I really like those. And I mean, I've been using Arteza product since I received them basically. I really like their water brushes. I really like the paper that they're making. They are like a pretty good value in my opinion. So we'll see how this goes for the Arteza watercolor pencils. I'm going to be doing a completely honest review. If I like them, if I don't like them, I will tell you what are the pros and cons. But so far I'm just having high hopes. So watercolor pencils are basically pencils you can activate with water, and you have the number and you have the name of the color on the pencils. So you can use them differently, but I will basically do the artwork as I will do with regular pencils, and then I will use water to activate them and see how this goes. I've used pencils before from different brands. I personally prefer to either use watercolors or pencils, or what I like to do also is use a watercolor base and then add on pencils on top, but I've never really used a like 2-in-1 tool, so we'll see how this goes. So I have one tray, as you can tell there's like a lot of color. I have another tray, there's more colors, and yeah, there's a third one. So like, oh my gosh, am I the only one who like, this is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. We'll do this little artwork that I've prepared for you guys. It's just like pumpkins and like spider's web and everything. This is for Halloween. So if you do celebrate Halloween, then happy Halloween, you guys. I have the paper. This is basically one sheet from this little pad that I'm going to work on. I'm going to transfer the artwork and then go straight in with my pencils and see how they perform. I think the best way to just showcase how they work is to actually use them. So let's just color some pumpkins. So the first thing that I've done with this little artwork was to try selecting my colors. Now, because there's 72 in the set, it was a bit hard at first, so I would probably recommend you do it either a chart or maybe just get a 48 set, because I believe on the Arteza there's the 48 and there's the 72. You don't really need the full collection. I mean, I guess it's nice because there's little variations in the colors, which I believe could be useful, but this is also because I do like to incorporate a lot of different colors. But in the artwork, when you're not familiar with the color chart, it can be a bit hard and scary at first. So I picked some colors in the orangey type of range, and also tried to grab some olive greens and then a bit of pink and purples for the shadows, and a dark blue. I really actually prefer to use a dark blue for the outline instead of a black, but it's entirely up to you. And I also really like the fact that I basically used one color. It's called pumpkin, which I think was on point, basically. So what I did is I shaded the entire artwork with a very light touch, because I didn't know how pigmented the colors will be when I activate them with water. So what I did is I did a rough, it's still shading, but I didn't really apply too much pressure. And because the paper is cold pressed, it has this texture, and I personally prefer hot pressed. So I realized that the nib tends to be kind of soft, which is not it's not a con, it's not really a pro, it's just a feature of the actual pencils. I use a lot of the Faber-Castell polychromos, and they're a very, very hard nib. And to compare them, the Arteza watercolor pencil kind of reminds me of the Prismacolor Premier pencil. They have a very soft lead. So I did find it's not breakable, but it was a tiny bit harder for me to do details and to add contours. So it's better to, I don't know, I guess you still need to sharpen them, I suppose. They sharpen pretty easily, so I really like that. But what I'm saying is that I tried to do a rough shading, follow my guidelines, and applied more colors towards the shadow point of the artwork. And my light source is coming from the right. And yeah, so I did the pumpkins. I've used more orange and pumpkin color on the big ones, and then the smaller one I used a bit more yellow, and then I had one in the middle that is a different shade with some green little spots. And I added a bunch of leaves and vines and just a little fall composition thingy, and then the spiders and the spider's web. And I kept the background quite light. I mean, I could have used a darker shade, but I didn't really want to use black in the background because I wanted the spider's web to pop. So after doing the first layer with the shading, I then grabbed a watercolor brush and a water. So I did what I consider, it's kind of hard to explain, but the technique with watercolor pencils is you have to activate with water and move the color and try to go slowly so it doesn't affect the other area. Now I could have done that with just the first layer being really light, but I didn't want to wait and then had darker shades and then wait again and then had darker shades, because with this type of pencils, when you use water, you kind of reactivate the layers underneath. So what I did is I tried to work on the darker spot, and then I was cleaning my brush and I came on lighter spots, and I was doing this back and forth and carefully adding water because I didn't want to add too much so I can still keep the control. It's almost like I was painting with the pigment on the paper. So it was pretty user-friendly. I mean, there's nothing really bad. I think most pencils behave the same way. I've noticed after a while, especially on a darker spot, that the pigment tends to have a bit of a chalky feeling, and you can tell that it has some of the powder from the pencil. Whereas if you are using actual watercolors, you don't have this powdery chalky feeling. And if you use pencils on top of watercolors, you also don't have this chalk kind of effect. So I'm not sure if this is specifically a feature from the Arteza watercolor pencils, or if this is something that happens quite often with other kinds of watercolor pencils. From what I remember, because I've used them before, you do have this powder feel to the pigment. It's almost like you're painting with some sort of powder pigment, if that makes any sense. So it's like a fluid paint, but the chalkiness that comes with the pigment, I believe, is more commonly found in, I guess, either cheap or medium quality artist tool, and you don't have that in high-end artist tool. So based on my reviews from other tools from Arteza, I've also tried the watercolor actual paints, and they also have this chalky finish sometimes. So I think it's just the formula itself. It's not a bad thing. I just prefer myself to have a bit more of a like glossy-ish finish to it, more translucent than a chalky finish. It reminds me a bit of gouache. So it's definitely a versatile tool, and it has a lot of different features, and it's pretty easy to use actually. The only downside, the only con that I can find is that because the lead is super soft, it was kind of hard to do details. So if you are using this type of technique, I will pretty much recommend you try to do the outlines with a harder lead pencil, or not a watercolor pencil basically, because it will be easier for you to do details. I still managed, it was pretty easy to do still, but yeah, I actually really like them. I was pleasantly surprised. They do have vibrant colors. They also perform well. They are easy to sharpen. I had one lead breaking, but because I was pressing too hard, so it's not the pencil's fault, it's my fault. The range of colors is really, really nice. I will definitely use them again, maybe on a different paper, maybe like hot pressed, and also maybe just at a larger scale, because I usually work at least twice the size of this artwork. There are like little bits that I don't like, but overall, they're pretty amazing. So yeah, if you'd like to check them out, then as always, link will be in the description below the video. And yeah, if you'd like to get your hands on this little artwork, I do have it on my Etsy store. And I think that's pretty much what I had to say. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any suggestions for content, then don't forget to comment below. And yeah, and tell me also what is your favorite thing about Halloween, because I really like to hear you guys' story, because I don't really celebrate Halloween in France, so it would be nice to see that. Anyway, thanks for watching, you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!